Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training for our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Suffolk. I think the proper term is Islandia now. I'm sorry, we're not in Suffolk anymore, we're in Islandia. Although we didn't move, they moved the name of the area. The show is broadcast on public access television. You can also catch Veterans News on YouTube. Just go to Veterans News, UVO, Long Island, and put in the year, and the year after that, and the month. By the way, UVO stands for United Veterans Organization. I'd like to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau and Suffolk County. I'd like to thank Sabrina Lacey, a former commander of the Suffolk County VFW, as our co-host. Hello, Sabrina.
Thank you, Ed.
I'd like to thank our crew on camera 1, Donald Caulfield. On camera 2, Dean Santiago. Derek Foran is on camera 3. Loretta DeBrino is our art director, and Beverly Allman is our technical director. Robert Lane is our director, and Pat Gugliano, our production expert, he isn't here today. So if we screw up, it's because Pat Gugliano didn't show up today. If you'd like to ask me a question or make a comment about the show, or would like to become a member of our crew, just email me, please, at mardiv1@optonline.net. That's mardiv for Marine Division 1 at optonline.net. Our guests today are Kevin Hill, the commander of the Valley Stream VFW, and Dave Rogers, the commander of the Suffolk County VFW. That's the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We'll talk to our guest in a moment, but first, let's hear about the veterans who died recently. Richard Higdon of Bayshore served with the 101st Expeditionary Rescue Squadron stationed in Afghanistan. Dave Targe from West Babylon, retired Newsday executive, served in the Merchant Marine during World War II and had 2 ships torpedoed under him. Henry D. Arenzio of Comac was a World War II veteran of the Marine Corps. Francis Devlin of both Seaford and Northport was a fire department battalion chief and a proud Army veteran. Richard Schultz of Glen Cove was a proud Navy veteran. Vincent Spillane of Central Islip served his country in the U.S. Army, and he was a proud member of the Central Islip Fire Department. Donald Molinelli was at 93 years old. He was a Navy veteran of World War II, and he was from Smithtown. Martin Hoffman of Floral Park was a Korean War veteran who was an aerial photographer for the Army. John Gillespie of Huntington Station was a proud Army combat veteran of the Korean War. And lastly, Cliff Disler of Valley Stream was a proud veteran of the U.S. Army during Vietnam. Cliff worked for Wonder Bread as a shop steward and later became Union president. I knew Cliff well. He will be missed. If you know a veteran who died recently and you would like to hear their name mentioned on the show, please email me at mardiv1@optonline.net. That's the end of Veterans News now. Now it's time for our guests. Kevin, how are you?
How you doing?
Okay. And Dave, glad to see you. Let's see, I have some questions for you. Dave, I see you have a guest.
This is Grunt.
Grunt?
Grunt. He's my service dog.
Okay.
I got him from Paws of War. I didn't name him. The Razor knew that I was Army infantry,
Right.
basically a grunt, and so they named him Grunt.
Grunt.
So that I would have the perfect name for a service animal.
Very good. I thought grunts were just Marines. I didn't know
No,
grunts were
Army
in the
infantry
Army
are called
too.
grunts too.
Okay.
Actually, when they start out, we call them donuts. They're not shaped grunts yet. You know, they're out of,
Donuts?
yeah, we call them donuts, out of shape. You know,
Oh.
lazy. You know, and then we build them up into grunts.
Very good. Dave, when did you join the military?
I joined in 1989. A lot of people don't know this. I was actually homeless when I joined the Army. I lived on the streets from the age of 15. and put myself through high school and got into college and had no more money, so I joined the Army. Actually, I was going to join the Marines, but when I went to the recruiting station, the Marine was on lunch, and the Army guy said, "Oh, we can give you the same stuff." So
Wow.
come over here.
You went to college before you joined?
I went to college before I joined. I did a year in college before I joined the Army. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I had no more money.
What branch were you in, the Army?
I was in the Army.
Okay. Where did you go while you were in the Army?
Um,
And what rank did you get?
I obtained the rank of Staff Sergeant. I could have gone higher, but I was deployed a lot. I liked that. Actually, I liked being deployed. I did a tour on Desert Storm. Went to Bosnia. I did support missions for Somalia. I was in Egypt. I was stationed in Korea, and I was at the World Trade Center and Homeland Security afterwards.
Were you active duty?
I was active duty. I started out active duty. Actually, I joined the reserves, and then when I got into basic training, I realized how easy it was, and I switched to active duty.
Easy.
You know, believe me, you live on the streets of New York, basic training is nothing. I had no idea what the military was about, but you know, it was nice to have a bed and 3 meals a day.
Right.
And so I started on active duty, and then halfway through my career, my sergeant told me about what they call AGR, Active Guard Reserve, the best kept secret in the military, because you're active duty, but you're stationed in cities and towns all
Right.
across the United States, and you only see your unit like 1 week in a month. The rest of the time, there's maybe 3 of you in the office.
Right.
And I deployed a lot, so it didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of nice.
Okay.
Dave, what made you get at age 15 to that position at age 15? Because my heart just
My family
stands
was going through a lot of problems. My family was broken up and going through a lot of problems, and I was just angry, and I was already hanging out in the street. I grew up in the city, so we hung out in the streets all the time.
Where did you grow up?
And I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, so
What's that?
you know, so it was.
Huh?
Yeah, Manhattan.
Manhattan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's West Side
You sound
Manhattan.
very well educated. You don't sound like a street urchin.
When I got in the military, I wanted to take full advantage of everything. When you have nothing, when you come from nothing, you strive to take advantage of everything, and that's why I deployed a lot. I volunteered for everything under the sun. A lot of times my commander would be like, "All right, you're volunteering too much. You need to stop." But I wanted to take full advantage of everything that the military had to offer. And my sergeant, when I came in, Sergeant Browning, he said he was being pushed out at the time. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he was near retirement, but they were
Right.
kind of pushing him out. And he goes, "You know, my biggest regret is I never went to school. I never got extra training." He's like, "Don't be like me."
Yeah.
So I spent the majority of my career going to school, taking courses. Even when I was deployed, I was taking correspondence courses. I was taking, they didn't really have online courses back then. But if you were serious enough about taking a class, when we were in Iraq, they flew teachers to Iraq to give classes. If you can get enough guys in your unit to
Right.
sign up.
Very good.
So I took full advantage
Okay.
and sit here today with 2 master's degrees.
All right, we'll get to your
Congratulations.
education in a few minutes. Kevin, give me the same questions. What branch of service did you join?
United States Navy.
Okay. When were you in the military?
I joined in 1984 and retired in 2014.
84, 5 years before
Yeah.
you went in. Okay. And you spent how many years in the service?
30 years.
30 years between active duty and
Active
reserve.
yes.
Okay.
30 years.
30 years.
Wow. You did 2 tours.
Yeah, several tours.
So did you retire from active duty and reserve?
Well, you just
You could do both?
Yeah, well, you can. The way it is now, you can do active duty and reserve, and it's based on your point system.
Yeah.
Or if you get caught on active duty, and you go over like 22 years, 23 years, you get your full time. You can get a full time check, like you retired.
Okay. Do you get the benefits too, like health insurance?
Yeah, health insurance. You retired because my ID card still says indefinite. You still retired out. So now, of course, after this year, a lot of veterans are able to, they get their disability, they're able to go to the exchange and everything like that. But I had that since I retired. So
Dave, how many years did you spend in the Army?
I spent 14 years. I was actually forced out of medical. I broke my neck
Okay.
and was forced out of the
All right.
military.
And Kevin, you were 30 years
30 years.
in the military.
And I deployed several times, like being on board in the Navy, being on board
Right.
a ship. So I served on like the USS, I was what they call Gator Navy, because I served with Marines back when the first one, 84. So I was on the USS Saipan, the Guam, carrier, USS Saratoga, the Vulcan. All these ships are decommissioned now.
Yes.
They're all gone, they're not around anymore.
Well,
Really?
Bob knows all about those ships. He's back there, one of our techs that we have down there.
They're all decommissioned. But when I got deployed with the U.S. Army, 3rd Army, as a law enforcement officer. I deployed to Iraq from 2006 to 2007. Yeah.
And where were you stationed at in Iraq?
I did Camp Arifjan, Navstar, which now is called K Crossing. We did Saudi Arabia, K&B, Camp Virginia, and maybe another one or two that I'm missing.
Any of
There
those
was small
areas
little
where you
camps.
served, Dave?
No, you're talking about first Desert Storm? Desert Storm? Or
No,
you're
I'm talking about Iraq in 2000.
Iraq, yeah. I was Desert Storm,
Yeah.
first Gulf War.
Yeah.
They didn't have really cool names for a lot of the bases. They were like Alpha Base, you know.
It wasn't built up yet.
Yeah, you know, it was. It depended on your commander. Like your commander basically gave the name for the whatever base you were on, and I was on Alpha Base, and then halfway through we got a new commander, and he called it Delta Charlie. I don't know why he had some weird name for Delta Charlie
Yeah.
over there, but those
We
were.
don't,
Those
we
were
don't
the
hear
names.
too many people talking about the Gulf War. All right, and a lot of my comrades always say that we don't give enough accolades to the Gulf War veterans. You served in Gulf War?
I was a
sir?
Gulf War as well. Yeah, 'cause most of the veterans who served there all got the Kuwait Liberation Medal, which was like in '91. Right? But people don't understand also the Cold War ended in '91. Anyone who served from 1941 to 1991, they get entitled to the Cold War certificate, right?
Yes.
So a lot of individuals don't know that either. Yeah.
So let's just take the time and say thank you for your service if you served in the Gulf
Yeah.
War.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yes.
it. Thank you for
And
sure.
thank you, Dave, for coming back.
Kevin, anything strange happened to you while you were in the service?
Yeah, boot camp.
Boot camp.
That was the rude awakening. I
What
grew up in
happened at boot
Brooklyn.
camp?
I grew up in Brooklyn. When I joined the military, I had just got out of high school in June. A few of us, you know, buddy program. There was like 4 of us supposed to all serve. The day of swearing in, I was the lone survivor. I looked around. I was like, "Where's everybody else at? You get on that bus. Let's go." I was like, "Ah!" Shock. But I always tell people it's the best thing I ever could have did.
How did you were in high school. What high school were you in?
East New York Vocational Technical High School in Brooklyn.
And what were you studying? Because you was getting vocational, right?
Yeah, vocational, so I had aviation.
Okay.
So even back then in the 80s, I remember my professors, or the teachers, they would say, "What do you want to do? Be mindful because the aviation was shrinking, right? All that stuff. We had the air traffic controller strike going on, everything was going on during the Reagan era. So they were like, if you go into aviation, just make sure you want to stick with it. So my friends went to the school of aeronautics, stuff like that. I said, oh, you know what, maybe I'll go into the Air Force. But the Air Force, when I took the exam, it was like, oh, you can go in the Air Force, but you couldn't go into 85 because it was set for the boot camp in the school.
Yes.
I qualified for the Navy as well. The Navy was like, well, we can put you on a delayed entry program, but you can go in October. I was like, I think I'll go to the Navy. There was a few of us, you know, the buddy program. We was like, oh, hoorah, let's go do it. Yeah, we're going to go out there and go. And I was the only one that showed up. But best decision I could have made. Yeah, so.
What service gave you the opportunity to join the VFW? Because in order to join the VFW, you have to have served in a conflict or served overseas in a war zone or something.
Yeah, I had hazard duty pay. That was one. A lot of individuals don't know that neither. So even though you can serve overseas and don't have a combat ribbon, if you have imminent danger or hostile fire pay, you still qualify for the VFW. And that was something that a lot of my friends didn't even know. Like myself, I didn't even know. I had the Kuwait Liberation Medal. I got the GYD. You got several combat, several ribbons. So I was always eligible for the VFW. But
Well, and then there's also, so there are people that go to smaller conflicts and they hear veterans of foreign wars and they think, well, I wasn't in Iraq, I was in Afghanistan, but they'll have the Expeditionary Medal.
Right.
And because we haven't signed a peace treaty, if you were stationed in Korea,
Panama is one.
You're
but
still
then
eligible for the VFW.
then you're eligible. it's more ribbon-based and qualifications than it is actual conflicts. You know, people say, oh, because you served in Vietnam, you know, but no, there are actually, today, people don't know this, merchant Marines still are not eligible for the VFW,
Right.
Vietnam Merchant Marines. So it's more about a qualification based on either you got hostile pay or you got a certain ribbon for your time that you were in.
Yeah. Dave, I understand you have 2 master's degrees.
I do.
What are they in?
I have a business degree, which I got in the military through the Army Accreditation Program, which was great. There are certain colleges like Empire State College,
Right.
Mount St. Mary's, which will take credits from other schools as long as you got those credits while you were in service, and they'll turn them into a degree for you. So I got my first degree while I was in service, and I actually had a chance. I went to the officers training course for logistics. I got a chance to do that. So I did the accreditation, and when I got out, I wanted to go back to my first love, which was art, so I got my MFA in Fine Arts from Long Island University.
You have a fine arts degree.
Yeah.
Not only do he have a finance
Whoa,
degree,
whoa.
Ed, listen to this.
I have to find out
He
what he's
is
fine.
excellent
In what?
in art.
I
I'm
saw
oh
my work
God,
all over the
it's
world. I show my work in 11 different countries.
You're kidding.
No.
Unbelievable.
No.
You should have brought something for us today,
Yes.
Ed.
I
Dave. You used to present everybody for something. I'm a co-host. Ed is here as a host. We deserve one of those paintings.
Well,
I want one.
I mean, they are marvelous. I mean,
a
the
new
creativity.
sign would be nice.
Yes.
I'm more of an oil painter. Yeah,
Very
I do oil
good.
paintings, and
You do
I
oil
show them and sell them
paintings.
around the world. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I was very impressed when I saw the art. And
Really?
I've known Commander for a couple of years. You joined the VFW 3 years ago, 4 years?
No, I joined the VFW actually 10 years ago.
Okay.
I wasn't active at first because the original, I'm in a new post now, the original post that I joined, to me wasn't really doing a lot, and I didn't really feel as comfortable around
Yeah.
so many of the older members. I felt like there wasn't
Connection.
The
a
camaraderie.
connection. But the truth of the matter is that there was. I just assumed that. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand about the VFW. The post I'm in now, again, a lot of the members are older Vietnam, some Korean War veterans, even a few World War II veterans. And when we're sitting around talking, we're not talking about, oh, you weren't here and you weren't there. We're talking about our families. We're talking about the struggles that we're going through. We're talking about how can we help each other.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it at first, you know. And about 6 years ago, I came to my new post in Patchogue, where I am now, and I've been really active ever since and moving up
Very good.
the ladder.
My wife is going to have to talk to you about painting because my wife takes lessons every Saturday for God knows how many years.
You used to teach
But,
the veterans, right? Art.
We do workshops.
Yes.
Really?
You know, and that's one of the important things. And I'm sure when you talk about memberships and some of the new ideas and stuff, part of attracting new members, to me, part of attracting new members is number one, trying new stuff. You know, going out of your comfort zone. So when I first started talking about art workshops, some of the veterans were like, art workshops, really? But once we started doing them, they were like, hey, when are we going to do another art workshop? But also, you have to find out what veterans in your community really appreciate and really are into. Because if you're involved in what they're interested in, then it makes that easier for them to want to get involved in what you're doing. You know, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
think-
can't say, well, come join us and do everything we're doing, but I don't care what you're doing.
That's why we have a diversity of organizations, the VFW, American Legions, the DAV, and in different states and different townships. So, and they're all doing different things. Like we have one post with the VFW that does comedy. So if you're interested in comedy, you could join the post that do comedy. My post, the Brentwood VFW, our post, we more spiritual. So we do more of nurturing on that case, going into the hospitals and doing more prayer and stuff like that. And your post with the Valley Stream is
We do a lot of stuff. Since I work at the VA hospital, but I've been volunteering since I retired. So I go to the VA hospital, and then when I got what I think attracted my members were, they said that when they hear me speak, that attracted them because they felt like the passion. Because we're all veterans. At the end of the day, we're all veterans. So when you give back to the community, they all want to give back. They all want the support. Now, like you said, it's like a family thing. So like we sit down, nobody says, well, you served in that war, you served in that war. No, it's all camaraderie. Like a few weeks ago, we had our first Super Bowl party. Members coming in. We trying to get like a movie night. We do a lot of events. I invite the Northport veterans, Manhattan, Brooklyn. We do like a big social gathering for them. And they rarely get out. But when you see the members come there and we appreciate the Vietnam vets. Because a lot of us, the benefits we're getting really is because of the Vietnam vets.
Thank you, Ed, for your service.
Definitely. And that's one thing we always put out. We always say, they tell us thank you for our service, but the Vietnam vets, they've been fighting for 30, 40 years, and they're still fighting. So, like,
well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't say thank you for your service, and people find that strange. What I say is welcome home, because to me, you're still serving. When I put on this cap, I'm still serving. My service isn't over. So I always say
even
welcome
when you take
home.
it off, because your phone is still ringing.
Yeah, but and you make a good point, and a great example of this. If you look at VFW Post 1, which is in Colorado, the oldest post in the VFW, they recently had an article on them. What they did to change was, so in their area where they live in Denver, has become an art district. And they're getting a lot of younger people moving to that area doing arts and things art related. So they got rid of their bar. They turned the post into an art gallery during the week. And they do yoga studio classes.
Wow.
And that's attracted more. So again, the oldest post in the VFW is growing and changing based on the needs of society around them in order to continue moving forward.
And that's another thing too. We have to do the change.
Right.
You have to do the change because, like I said, some of them are all antiquated. Like the Vietnam, like I said, the computer system and the lighting, the structure. You have to change it because it's like you said, it's community based. So that's what I found as well. We go out, we do stuff in the community. You see what's there, and that attract more members in, and then it just grows. And so far, I mean, we've been getting a lot of members coming in, because we don't want to lose the VFW. Because it's important to all of us, because you want to keep seeing it going for another years. My post just turned 90 years old February 11th, so we want to keep it going. But as a staff, my senior vice, Abel, my junior vice, Freddie Hill, my quartermaster, Sheila, my chaplain, Chris, all of us together, it all makes it work. It's not just me. I always tell guys, it's not Kevin Hill's post. It's VFW Post 1790 with all my members that help us get along. So I appreciate them as well. Thank you, guys.
And that's the important thing that people need to understand. When you're talking about a VSO, which is a Veteran Service Organization, the great thing about the VFW is we're membership driven, just like the AMVETS are, just like the American Legion is. There's a lot of organizations out there that are not membership driven, that are board driven. And so you have a board making all the decisions. In the VFW, you're membership driven. So your post succeeds based on the membership. My quartermaster, he's a Korean War veteran. He was doing everything on paper. And so I came to the post. And then he gave it a try, and he actually finds the computer system's not that difficult, and he's working with it. Times are changing. And we need to continue to grow. There's certain things we'll never get rid of as a veteran service organization. I mean, we march in parades, we do the buddy poppies, we do the hospital visits. Those kinds of traditions will always be there. But maybe the spaghetti dinner in your post doesn't work anymore. Maybe people don't want that. Maybe they want a night at the races or a dance night or so you kind of have to play around with it a little bit.
Hit right on the head. Saying if we're doing we're trying to do basketball events, hockey events, Broadway shows, plays, those are things you're just trying to incorporate new, like you said, a new flavor.
And definitely. What we need to do is reach out to the veterans and let them know that there is a multitude of posts out here doing these different things, like Commander Post, Dave Post, and Patchor, right? He's the command. You still the commander?
Absolutely, Commander Patchor.
And he does the art. You in Valley Stream, and you do.
Oh, we do multiple, multiple stuff.
All the posts now are doing an array of different things, like the art and they have the.
We do the wine.
Football.
We do the sipping wine.
We do
the sipping wine. We have everything. We just have a multitude of everything in the community. But when you say it's community driven, so we find out what's in the community. We invite those individuals to come to the hall, and that expands everything.
So Ed, I just wanted to put into the veterans out there. There's no reason why you shouldn't join one of the organizations. But I could tell you a multitude of reasons why you should. And it's because of you, Ed. the Vietnam veteran, and all those Vietnam veterans out there, y'all were so tight together. You worked as a team to get all these things passed so we can have the benefits to go to school for free and also to take care of our families. So we commend you and all the Vietnam veterans out there for that. But the most important thing is, out there, you young veterans, we know the commander here and the commander here, and I'm also a commander, we can show you how to start your own post. That's what the VFW is all about. If you don't like what's going on in one of our posts, you can start your own post. We have a new post, right, Commander? The one in Islandia? Pretty much fairly new, started, and they're doing marvelous. So whatever interest you are, don't say it's because you don't like what's going on in one post. Just come on down and bring your service and your ideas, and we can grow our posts, and we can take your ideas and we can run with it.
But I think, I'm sorry, I think if you take something important away from this is understanding that, you know, the VFW is not something set in stone. Like we said, it's membership driven. So if you don't think your post is doing something to attract new members, then you have the opportunity to step in and say, maybe we should try this, and maybe we should see how this goes.
Right.
And then you get the support based because we're membership driven. You know, we're not this board of overseers telling people what to do.
Dave, you said you had 2 master's degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask you about your education.
Wow, we throw a shout out for St. John's. I'm a St. John's alumni.
St.
Working
John's.
on getting my PhD in Homeland Security, my doctorate.
PhD in Homeland Security.
Brand new, just started. I'm the
We need
second
that.
cohort, so it just came out at St. John's. Yeah. So and
Is that out of Queens?
out of Queens on
Yes.
Jamaica campus. Yeah.
Yes.
This is what I want to go across this station, that these 2 fellas at one time were just boots, just enlisted boots that joined the service. And now we have a man with 2 master's degrees and a dog. And we have another man who's what do you do for the VA?
I'm the plant manager at the VA to supply all the services to all the non-VA hospitals in the region.
Plus you have these degrees,
Yep, I have my
bachelor's
bachelor's,
degree,
my bachelor's and my
master's
master's,
degree,
all from St.
and
John's.
you're working on your PhD.
Yep.
And how many years you retired from the military?
30. I retired.
30
30. I did
years.
30 years. I've been retired 6 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
But you're
Thank
seeing
you.
more of this now. You're seeing more veterans today are using their GI Bill, which is very important. But also, you know, you're seeing to move to certain levels in the military, you have to have education. You can, it's no longer you could just be, you know, boots running around
Right.
and listening to orders up above. You have to be the decision maker. You have to be the policy maker. So you need that background in more than just, you know, the basics of the military, but in the education in order to move forward. So you're seeing a lot more of that in this day and age. And that's the important part when we're out there and we're about, is that we're reaching out to the student veteran associations across the United States and make sure that we connect with them. Because like myself and a lot of other veterans, when I got out, I had no idea where to go for my benefits. I had no idea who to turn to. And it's because of organizations like the VFW that I got the assistance that I needed.
Exactly.
So we need more of that. We need more people to join, and not just because it'll help you out, but you'll be able to help other veterans. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is the VFW is one of the very few VSOs in the world that are allowed to testify before Congress. And we're able to do that because we have 1.6 million members, you know. So keeping that membership up allows us to continue to push for legislation which helps veterans in our communities.
And most of
good.
those veterans that we have now, a lot of them that are doing a lot of marvelous work are the Vietnam veterans, and I look up to them. And I know that me being only 40 years old,
Yeah.
that I'm never going to stop doing what I need to do. And when I don't have the tenacity, or if I'm not feeling well, I just think about those who didn't come back, and I say to myself, get up and keep it moving. Because those are serving right now, right, Dave? They are dependent on us to continue moving forward, and we cannot stop that baton. And I commend you for going forward. Looking forward to seeing you at the state level, going up to the national level, and speaking for all of us. Because, and you as well, that's what we need. And once again, Ed, welcome home.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you for having us on the show. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Dave, do you have a job? Do you work? Besides the work you're doing? Nope, we're out of time. Okay, see you next month, I hope.
That was smooth.
Okay.
It's smooth.
Yeah.
Little hot.
Because I have a lot of information to get out. So.
We didn't get to the idea of why you're here. We didn't